Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Chris.
Just received 10,000 demerits.
We've got Vince.
Scan the crowd with your psi powers. That's easier said than done, Scott.
Wow. And I'm Kia. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today we are talking about the Dark Phoenix Saga from the X-Men. There's a movie coming out soon, or did already come out?
It's already
came out. Came out.
Okay.
It'll be last weekend? By the time?
Yeah. One with
lowest opening for an X-Men movie ever.
Ooh, oh no! Sansa
1/10.
Stark. What are you doing?
Yeah, 1/10 of the Endgame opening, which I mean, a lot of movies.
Yikes! Oh, I still haven't seen Endgame. I'm a terrible nerd sometimes. Oh, what am I doing?
Well, this is the end of the X-Men saga.
Right. The very end. This was the last X-Men comic book ever written. From what year was this? Dark Phoenix Saga?
79-80.
Which it took me a while to realize it was before. Like we were just talking about Secret Wars for so long, from 1985-86, and this was 5 years before, and it just kind of was like, wow, okay, great.
I did not realize Dark Phoenix Saga was this early.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you go on Marvel Unlimited right now, they're being very friendly. They're like, they have like a little top banner, and they're like, here, you read the Phoenix Saga. There's an original Phoenix Saga from '76, and then the Dark Phoenix Saga, which is what I know from like the X-Men comics, or an X-Men cartoon. And then also X-Men 3 and X-Men prequel 4, I guess is what they're calling it. So they've done this movie twice, both written by Simon Kinberg. So.
I don't understand that. So,
Same
Dark Phoenix Saga. Yeah, so we should talk about. You mentioned the regular Phoenix Saga. I don't think that's what they called it. Like we didn't call World War One when it was happening, right? We call it what?
Yeah, I would love it if that'd be a great motif. If just call something like the original something saga, and then 5 years follow up on it, like the original. Yeah, saga.
That's why we called it the original. Yeah, that's why. But back at the original Dark Phoenix story, the original Phoenix story. What basically Jean gets some Phoenix powers in her, right? She never dies. It just it enters her.
Yes, they're on a spaceship mission, and she gets basically bombarded by sort of cosmic ray type thing. But then you find out it's this sort of alien presence that's made her much stronger, and she uses the Phoenix Force to defeat the Emperor of the Shi'ar, the bird people aliens, and then that's how Lilandra becomes the queen of that place. And the X-Men cartoon actually did a pretty faithful adaptation of the original Phoenix Saga, and then a year later did the Dark Phoenix Saga, or it might have even been the same season. Yeah. But yeah, they have the whole thing where they go to the castle, and there's an alien, Eric the Red, and the Juggernaut, and
I think I remember that. Yeah,
all of that was in the cartoon, and it's pretty faithful to the comic to a point where you're like, wow, they really just adapted this comic series, and then they sort of made it for kids a little bit, but. She uses, with the X-Men's help, to defeat this Emperor who wants this crystal. They reference that in this story. Storm is like, I haven't seen her like this since that time with the crystal.
So was she called Marvel Girl, and then she got the Phoenix Force, and then that's why she's rebranded as Phoenix?
Yeah, and I don't even know,
yeah, were they calling her Phoenix in this, or just Jean Grey?
They called her Phoenix on the first page, or whenever they introduced who the characters are for. Because I will always call them Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Jean Grey.
Exactly. Yeah.
I never call her by whatever super. I don't also call Kitty Pryde Shadowcat, but that's another story. But yeah, I saw her specifically called Phoenix. And I was like, well, when did that happen? So I guess that was original Phoenix Saga. Is when she got the Phoenix powers.
Yeah, she got the new powers, and then the green costume done by Dave Cockrum.
It's a good costume.
You can tell he also did the Miss Marvel, or now Captain Marvel, redesign, because they both have sashes.
Oh,
nice sashes. I think Vince mentioned the original Phoenix Saga was 1976, and so this one was from 1980, issues 129 through 137. I think maybe we said 138 last time. We'll talk about what 138 is later. But we're splitting it up into 2 episodes. These older comics kind of dense. So right now we're going to talk about 129 to 132. Next episode we'll finish off the Dark Phoenix Saga. Also, throughout the course of all this, got to mention we're still doing our reading of All-Star Superman. This episode we'll talk about number 2 at the end. But I feel like are we ready to just kind of jump into the story here?
Mm-hmm.
I think so, yeah. So the whole thing, we should talk about what team we have. It's basically the same team from Giant Size X-Men on that kind of era. We have Cyclops, Jean Grey. I guess Jean Grey wasn't technically on the team around then. She had rejoined at some point. We have Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler, and Wolverine.
I'm digging this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it starts off with a little bit of house cleaning. Like a lot of people leave the
right.
team.
This was our last. Yeah.
Banshee, who had been a member of the new X-Men, he's out for a while.
Yes. They say bye to Moira McTaggart. She's on. They've been on Moira Island, like fighting Proteus. They said, yeah. And they had a bunch of friends there. So yeah, Havoc and Polaris are also there.
Yes.
Yeah. Lorna Dane.
Is this all what X Factor ended up being?
I mean, those 3 were
and then
on
Madrox.
the new
I think
X
the
Factor.
Multiple Man was also saying goodbye.
Yeah, it was Multiple Man, Alex, and Lorna were on the new X Factor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
but that was like 12 years later. They were not thinking of it at the time.
But I do like how this is just like a good solid team. Like this is Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Cyclops, Colossus, Storm, Jean Grey. Like there's
it's all your favorite.
Well, there's not like whenever we read any of these books, there's always like and Justice is on the team, and I'm like,
it's like some rando that they're trying to get going. Well, like you got to realize this is still early on, when they didn't have to worry about that so much. But at the same time, they do really we didn't mention the creative team, Chris Claremont, the writer who did 20 years on this book, and John Byrne on art. But you can tell he really does a good job of rotating the team around. Like these folks who maybe have been here for a while, but now they're leaving. And throughout the book, they kind of get split up into 2 teams.
Well,
and one team kidnapped while the others introduce some new characters and kind of slowly mix in. It has a very a Springfield kind of quality where mutants will kind of flow in and out as Chris Claremont wants them to.
Right, and I like that because this issue starts with we're bidding adieu to part of the last team, and then there's mini arcs within this that people just piece out, and then they introduce 2 randos in this one that end up being people who've hung around for 40 fucking years.
Yep.
Randos.
Kitty Pryde and Dazzler.
Yeah.
So they're on their way home from Moira Island, and we got to talk about the Hellfire Club. They're the kind of the big baddies around here for this story arc. Jason Wingard of the Hellfire Club, I guess, is the head honcho. Is that his real name? I feel like they mentioned something about that not being his real name.
No, and he's also not the head honcho.
Kevin Bacon's the head honcho.
Yes, Sebastian Shaw.
But for this storyline, he's the head honcho.
Yes, he is the villain Mastermind, who's a member of the Brotherhood. And you see in the next issue, I think, you see his silhouette reflected on headlights, and he has the Mastermind shadow. And I read these a few years ago with the letters pages included. What the versions we have do not have that, because I'm just reading off Unlimited this time. But the letters pages, people figured it out. They're like, oh, I know who that is. And so it's pretty cool that they were seeding who this character is, because he's an existing villain who's just basically made himself handsome somehow.
Yeah, using his mind trickery and stuff. But yeah, this whole story arc, he's messing with Jean Grey a lot, getting into her head, making her think it's 200 years ago, doing at a ball, being the Hellfire Club's Black Queen, all that kind of stuff, and just very slowly kind of fooling her into going crazy. She never actually fully goes crazy, but she's very kind of on edge about this whole thing,
Well, she has
and
like
not sure.
she has dream logic, kind of. It's like, well, I'm one of my ancestors, and I guess I'm fooling around with this guy. Okay, I guess that's how this dream goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just kind of goes with the flow of like, oh, I guess my ancestor came to America and joined this Hellfire Club. It's like, why would you just assume that?
Yeah, it's very.
I mean,
people try and explain everything away so they don't have to worry about it, right?
I mean, maybe she just thought it was a rich people club, like because Angel Warren Worthington's like, yeah, I'm a member of the Hellfire Club, whatever. My dad had a membership, whatever. It's a rich people thing. It's what we are.
But also, it was also a dream. Like, she doesn't have to pretend like it actually exists either.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You don't have to justify it as being a true to life dream.
Right. Well, and she's like not sure. She's like, am I like going back in time? Because I guess that's to also show like how convincing these illusions and this like mind messing is. Because she's like, I might be like, slipping backwards and forwards in time or something. And I guess if you live in a comic book world where like crazy crap happens all the time, you're like, well, maybe. I don't know.
It makes. I like that. I like that touch. Anything could happen. It could be anything. But we're going to settle on Ancestor. So what's the story all about here? They get home. Oh, and apparently Professor X was gone also, but he's back. So it's a regular old story now. We got Professor X back in the chair.
But Charles
saddle.
Charles is kind of treating them like children, so Cyclops isn't really digging. He's like, we're not fucking teenagers anymore. Like we're
grown-ups, man.
We're grown-ups, man. We don't have to listen to you, old man. Like don't be talking to us like that.
All grown up.
Yeah.
We have the introduction of Kitty Pryde, who has been exhibiting powers.
They have Cerebro. They use Cerebro, which we've seen in all the movie stuff. And there's 2 new Neo Mutants, and apparently the Hellfire Club has been bugging Cerebro. So the Hellfire Club is like, we're gonna also find these 2 Neo Mutants. One's in Chicago, one's in New York. Chicago is the Kitty Pryde one. And is this also Emma Frost's introduction, Chris?
Yes, this is her first appearance too.
Is it? Okay. I didn't realize that.
There's like a line a few issues later. They're like, this Emma Frost lady, like they talk about her like they've never met her. And so I was like, I think this might be new.
Yeah. Very cool.
I mean, this is introducing the Hellfire Club, and so all those characters come back, a lot, and especially White Queen, who, spoiler, joins the X-Men later on.
So you're telling me this issue, which starts the Dark Phoenix Saga, introduces Emma Frost, the Hellfire Club, and Kitty Pryde?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Look at that. Yeah, big time. We're in the big time here, folks. Whew, don't take this lightly. All right, let's get serious.
This might be like the biggest, like most important issue we've read.
This is our biggest scoop, everybody. The biggest scoop. Emma Frost appears. Put that in the headlines. Okay, all right. We're ready. We're ready to do this. Whew, okay. So Kitty Pryde, she's she's being like courted by all the schools coming by, which I don't know how her parents kind of like got in touch with everyone and organized this, but I don't know. Emma Frost is there to pitch her school to Kitty Pryde. Kitty Pryde is not having it, but when Professor X shows up with Colossus and Wolverine and Storm,
she likes Storm. Kitty likes Storm.
She likes her. She also likes Colossus a lot, and she also thinks.
13.5 though.
She also calls Wolverine creepy, but that's a good thing. That's a compliment.
I mean, to be fair, like in the fight in the next scene, Wolverine doesn't show up because he's too busy reading Penthouses at the drugstore, just off the rack.
Creepy.
He's just at like the malt shop that sells Penthouses, apparently.
Yeah, what kind of malt shop is it? This is a family establishment.
I feel like I at least know in the '90s those were in like plastic wrap. Like, did Wolverine like rip one open with his claws and just start?
Come on, that's rude. So they go to this malt shop so that Professor X can talk to the parents, and while they're at the malt shop, they get attacked by Emma Frost and a bunch of her armored like henchmen. Emma kidnaps all of the X-Men.
And the Chicago X-Men.
Right. That's that crew. We got Colossus, Wolverine, Storm, and Professor X. They all get kidnapped. Professor X is sedated, but Kitty Pryde sneaks onto her little ship as well. And that's where we leave this one off. But yeah, I'm like by the end of this first issue, I'm into it. I'm excited to see where it all goes. Plus, I know I'm getting Shadowcat for the first time, so I'm down to see how this happens.
Yep. I'm on board.
Let's just keep going. 130. We get the debut of the Dazzler. Not quite as big as Emma Frost and Shadowcat, but you know what? Big in her own right. We've got the New York mutants, Cyclops, Jean, and Nightcrawler. They're at this club, and they're, like, oh, we gotta find this mutant around here. Let's go around scanning everybody.
Who could it possibly be? It's certainly not the one on the cover that we're going to discover 16 pages from now.
Yeah, they keep treating it like it's a mystery. Like, I've been around this place the whole time. I've scanned every guest in here. It couldn't be. Who is it?
Yeah. There's some. Jean is a little judgy here because she's like, some of these thoughts are so vile. I don't even want to use my telepathy on these people. It's just like, wow, Jean, like you're, like just because you saw Cruising, you think you know everything.
My word, I do like that. Like Cyclops is like, just scan the crowd for your psi powers. It's like, sure, like that's fucking way easier. It's really easy to say, like really difficult to do. I like that. I don't know why that was one of my favorite lines of this whole book. I thought it was a very practical use of her powers and understanding the limits.
Yeah. My quote was from the last issue where Professor X was like, tell Wolverine he's going to get 10 demerits for leaving practice.
It's like he's a grown-ass man. No one cares.
Like, yeah, what?
Oh, boy. Wolverine getting demerited. That's a good compilation. All the times he gets demerited.
Yeah,
that would be. I would have like a running point counter throughout the issue. 10 points to Gryffindor, 0 points to Wolverine.
To Wolverine, just by himself. Yep,
he's his own house.
So Wingard shows up here at the club, and Jean is transported back in time, and then starts smooching him, and then like as she comes to, like she's kissing him just at the club.
And then Scott's just standing there like, Jean, what's going on here? What is this? Yeah. It's very little strange here. It also happens later with Angel, and I'm very confused by how much Jean is kissing people in this book, while Scott is just standing around barely reacting.
That Angel one, the art, she is smooching him, and then the art is like, hey, aren't we great friends? And I'm like, the art and the words do not make sense here.
They really don't. It's so... Okay, we'll get to that later. But, yeah, so there's some smooching happening here with Mastermind. I was under the impression that maybe Mastermind wasn't actually present in the club, and that was just like a vision in Jean's head. Because we don't really see him again at the club, do we?
No, he's there at the end.
Is he? Okay.
As they're driving away, that's when they see the silhouette, and Cyclops is like, that guy looks familiar. He gives me the creeps.
Yeah. I don't understand what Scott's... Anyways. They find Dazzler. We should also talk about Kitty, who kind of escapes from the ship. Storm gives her a phone number to call, so she calls it. And it's the car phone, of course. Yeah, Nightcrawler picks it up. This does happen after this attack. Okay, we got to go back a little bit. They find Dazzler. Yeah. Then some bad guys show up, and they're running around. And Nightcrawler answers the car phone while he's kind of running around, and he just hears it. Good for you, Nightcrawler. And how does this one end? There's a big old battle at the club. Emma's goons are coming after the X-Men that are there, just like they did with Kitty Pryde. But this group doesn't get captured. They manage to escape. Everybody runs. Cyclops, Jean, Nightcrawler, and Dazzler all running away from this club and away from Emma Frost. That's kind of a big fighty issue. Anything else happen that we got to talk about? Mastermind and the Shadow?
Nope. I mean, just the Kitty's like, I can't desert Storm or some people.
She
like that hot Russian
really liked Storm. Yeah,
she really did like. I think her and Storm really clicked. But I mean, I don't think it's Mohawk Storm, but we are talking like 80s Storm, and 80s Storm is cool.
Yeah, 80s Storm is very cool. All right, so 131 next issue. We got the team from New York with Dazzler. They all go to rescue Kitty, who is called on the car phone
I love the first page though of this issue. It's a really cool. It's got kind of like it's got kind of like a moody, like kind of like noir-y, moody, like the time is sunset, someone's running. And so it's got that cool art, and then it's just got like the big heads of all your X-Men characters surrounding it, because you're tapping in, and you're like, who are all these guys? And it's just the way it's drawn is really well done. I really like it.
Yeah. John Byrne. It turns out in the 70s and 80s was pretty good.
Yeah, not a complete shithead yet.
I'm sure he was an asshole, but at least he was making good work.
Dazzler's head is not shown on that first page. She's not big time enough yet. Sorry, Dazzler.
The team. She's just visiting.
Yeah, she's not really on the team. She's just a hanging out mutant with cool. What are her powers exactly? Like
she
light
dazzles.
Yeah, she dazzles
and lures. I don't know.
Yeah, she converts sound to light, I think, is basically how her powers work.
It's not a very fighty power, but that's okay. They all, not all mutants need fighty powers.
Yeah.
So they all go to capture to help Kitty Pryde. They kind of get her safe, and now we've got this team of 5, which is a pretty nice team of 5 here. Jean, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Dazzler, and Kitty Pryde. I think that's a nice team. They go to rescue the other 4 folks. Storm is in like an individual experiment room or something, so Jean is going after Storm to rescue her, while everyone else goes to rescue Colossus and Nightcrawler and Wolverine and Professor X. Oh, 5 captured. 5 and 5. I messed up the numbers. No, not Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler's free. Too many mutants to keep track of. Okay.
Yeah, that really threw me at the end of the issue where I thought all the X-Men got captured by Emma Frost, and I'm like, how come Cyclops and Jean are just running around? And I'm like, because they were a different team. But it took me a second. Yeah.
I also kept losing track of Professor X. I don't think we saw him get rescued.
Yeah, that was definitely. I think later in like the 80s and 90s, they had that other series. It was called what was it called? The Hidden Years or one of those things. Like they republish these issues all the time, and so they had because these are only 19 pages of actual new material.
Yeah.
And so they published a 30-page version basically where John Byrne went back and added more story to a bunch of them. And so I'm sure that's one of the things they would have added is oh yeah, Professor X got captured too.
Yeah.
Because we never see it.
Yeah.
It was very
So the other point though, Chris, you just said, I noticed all these issues were 18 pages with the cover on Unlimited. I didn't see many double page spreads. So these were running with reprints probably in the back.
I don't think they had reprints. But what would they have done? Because it switched from bi-monthly to monthly, in 76 or 77.
After original Phoenix Saga, definitely.
Yeah, original Phoenix Saga was bi-monthly, so it took 8 months or whatever to do those 4 issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I wanted to mention, did you guys notice? Because I think this is the first time it starts happening that Phoenix starts using her scary voice.
Yeah, you get the different font, the kind of not really font, but different outline on the speech bubble.
That's some good lettering. That's some good lettering. I did not notice that though.
You did not. I can't believe we had good lettering in an issue that Vince did not notice. This seems out of character for Vince.
It does. Yeah. I need to turn in my letterer card.
She I did also notice it because she's doing that when she's kissing Angel later. She's really got some fire behind that kiss.
Yeah, and that's we'll get to it, but yeah, you can see the sort of Dark Phoenix creeping up, she smashes for no reason the car that's chasing Kitty. She just destroys it and sends the guy through the windshield.
Yeah.
And she's like, that guy deserved it. Okay, just take my word for it. And you're like, whoa,
yeah. And Cyclops what the fuck?
Literally every time Jean does something weird throughout this whole series, Cyclops just says, "What are you?" Well, okay. And that's just Cyclops' reaction every single time.
Yeah. This is why you shouldn't date your coworkers, because now you're look, I'm kind of your boss. I don't want to have a conversation about this.
Exactly.
I do love also that, like, I mean, when they like, okay, we gotta get to the top of the building because that's where Nightcrawler is, and Jean just flies everybody with her psychic powers. Very cool touch. I like it.
That's nice. Yep. I also like seeing Nightcrawler just teleporting people around. It's always
He's
nice.
very fun in this book. The way he talks, I can see why people like him so much.
Yeah. This is my favorite Nightcrawler, I would say.
Not the Nightcrawler who died and then got replaced by an alternate version of himself in the mid-2010s.
None of that matters. None of that matters. So Jean is fighting Emma to get Storm out of there. Jean is going all Phoenix Fire crazy, like super ragey on Emma. They get back to, like, finally everything is over. They manage to get back to Kitty's parents, who are pissed, by the way. Like, where were you? Where did you take our daughter?
They're just like yuppies from, the East Coast, and they're like,
but they're also going through a divorce, which is. I feel like I heard Kitty mention that at some point in one of the recaps or something like that.
And they do get divorced later.
Yeah, it seems like it's a very interesting note for sure that doesn't necessarily come up in how they're portrayed, I think, as like really being together and very much caring about their daughter and looking for the best school for her to go to. I don't know. That's not it's stereotypical of what you see in comics of like a broken family, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But anyways, they're very upset, and Jean gives them a little mind alteration, a little mood swing change. All of a sudden, they're just happy to have their girl back, happy to see her going off with a nice young bunch of mutants. Yeah, good people.
And again, Scott's like,
Jean, what did you?
Yeah. And Jean, I mean, again, that guy that she put through the windshield, she, like, even though he's unconscious, she manages to, like, telekinetically drive the car with him, like, passed out and fool someone into being like, oh, you caught the X-Men. Good.
She puts the car back together.
Yeah.
Jean, but you couldn't scan a room full of people to see who the mutant was? Come on, Jean.
Yeah, because they were gross, Kia. They were thinking gross thoughts, and she didn't want to.
Yeah, they weren't
her greatest weakness. Perverted thoughts.
Oh, no. Oh, boy, that's a story waiting to happen. All right. So I think we're on to the next issue. It seems like this whole Dark Phoenix saga is kind of maybe divided up into 3 sections here. Like, we had this whole bit. Next, I guess 2 or 3 issues are going to be all about the X-Men invading a Hellfire Club party. So I think we're just going to get this one issue. We kind of leave it off on a cliffhanger, but it'll be great.
Yeah, it feels very much like the Kree Skrull War, where we're getting like a bit of a prelude.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like it's.
And now we're going to get to the big stuff.
Yeah, because I don't feel like we're in Dark Phoenix Saga proper yet.
Right. But I am really glad that we're kind of reading all this lead up just to really get a feel for what's going on here, and how terrible Cyclops is. So yeah, they go to New Mexico to see Angel. This is that big kiss that comes up. It's so like an Angel's. Who is this? Is this his girlfriend?
Yes.
What's her name?
Candy Southern.
Yeah, her name was Miss Southern, which I don't know. I've never heard that as a last name. Miss Southern. I think she's from the South. We have this big party that the X-Men are going to.
No, let's take a step back for this New Mexico.
You want to keep breaking down this kiss?
But not just the kiss, because Scott's like, Warren, we need to like talk. I want to have some privacy because I want to talk about Jean. And he's like, privacy? Fuck yeah! And like it's like instantly like a panel. It's like right between panels, like privacy. It's like instantly like Warren has flown him 50 feet in the air, like privacy. You got it, man. Let's do this.
Yeah. And Professor X is like wondering, like, what are they talking about? Why does he need to talk all privately with him? I don't like it.
I do not understand why he's behaving so strangely, and I do not like it.
It's a great line.
Yeah, and then like Cyclops is like, yeah, we got attacked by these guys, the Hellfire Club, and then Warren is like, oh, but I'm a member. And then he's like, I'm also having kind of a problem with Jean, and Jean just flies up and is like, hey guys, what's going on?
And she's like, y'all been talking for hours. Which I'm like, it took you hours to get to the Jean part? Like, I feel like that's the thing you lead with, but, especially if you need privacy, but okay.
Yep. And then Jean turns off Cyclops' powers completely, and it's like, this should be a huge red flag.
Well, yeah, it's a red, but first she changes into her undies, with her psychic undies. And I was like, okay. Well, I guess I forget that they're adults and not like teenagers. And they get it on.
Yep. Yeah, she's like, I want to see your face. So she just like takes his visor off, and he's like, Jean, no.
Red
she's
flag.
Like, no. Yeah. It's like,
Jean,
no,
what are you?
It's cool. I can turn your powers on and off at will. It's like, wonderful.
Does that come back into play later?
I'm sure it won't.
So they're at this party. Professor X is, I guess, the man behind the screen. He's watching everything, keeping track of everything for them. You got Nightcrawler and Wolverine. They're down in the sewers because they're the weird-looking freaks. They can't blend in with everyone else. But everyone else, Storm, Colossus, Cyclops, and Jean, they're guests at the Hellfire Club party. Angel, what is Angel doing? He's just hanging out with Professor X? I don't know. I feel like he's
a rich member of the Hellfire Club. He could get in. He could
Yeah.
And he doesn't go in. Yeah, what are you doing? Come on, man. So, like, at this thing, of course, Mastermind, what's his name in this? Jason Wingrave is what he's going by. He again, kind of does some mind trickery stuff on Jean. And you see Jean, like, dressed like the Black Queen from
I really like this because, like, she has a time slip and she's, like, instantly smooching this guy. And I'm like, it's good to know. I mean, like, this, it's good that her and Cyclops went to the Bone Zone first because it shows, like, this is out of character. Like, she loves Scott. Why is she suddenly fooling around with this other guy? So something's weird in this dream sequence. I like it. It's good writing.
It is. She's smooching a lot of dudes, though.
I forgot that this was a three smoocher.
It's a triple smoocher, and this is just the first half. How many? We gotta figure out the over under.
We're on page 9 of 18, and she's smooched 3 guys.
Oh my goodness!
But she's judging others for their vile thoughts.
Yeah,
come on, Jean. Do what you want to do. Polyamory is a thing. It's totally fine, but be open and honest.
So a fight breaks out, of course. I don't remember why a fight breaks out.
Well, because Mastermind basically is like, well, I have control of Jean now. And so he just goes and walks off with her. And Cyclops is like, Jean! And then Jean blasts him.
Yeah,
and she changed in a full leather outfit, which I'm sure took a while to put on. But there's a lot.
It's a psychic. It's like
right.
psychic undies.
That's right. She can psychically change her clothes. All right, you win the no prize there, Kia. Good job.
Thank you. So Colossus gets smacked around by some dude without a shirt.
Sebastian Shaw, aka Kevin Bacon.
Oh, that's Sebastian Shaw. Okay. Why is he treated like a random, like not random, but like a mid-tier lieutenant kind of level fighter?
I think he's like the boss of the Hellfire Club, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
I think
he likes to do it.
Yeah.
It seems like a bodyguard more than the owner, but that's cool. I guess if you love your work.
Yeah, and if you read his like thought bubbles, he's like, I haven't used my powers in a long time. This is fun.
All right, good for you, Sebastian Shaw. Good for you, Kevin Bacon. Wolverine is pretty much like he's fighting, gets knocked down into the sewers again, and he's getting swished away. Looks like a fun ride, actually. Storm also fights Shaw. Storm and Colossus both get captured. Pretty much everybody gets captured, right?
Yeah, Harry Leland is the dude that Wolverine fights, and he's like, my power is just make you heavier. And then Wolverine just gets heavier and then just falls through the floor.
Yep. Did you recognize? I think Harry Leland is probably the only one I could sort of tell who he's supposed to be. But John Byrne apparently based the designs of these characters on famous actors of the 70s.
Okay.
And so, can you tell who what famously fat actor Harry Leland is?
I'm gonna say Dom DeLuise.
I want to say like maybe a Belushi.
No, Orson Welles.
Oh, I see it. Yeah. Great.
You're not
like
good.
before his beard went white and he got really big.
Yeah.
Optimus Prime himself. Not Optimus Prime. He was Unicron.
Wait,
Unicron, yes.
this is the first appearance of Orson Welles as well. Every single freaking one of these things, man.
Yep, and the guy was it Pierce, the one with the cyborg arms? He is supposed to be based on Donald Sutherland, which I can't tell because he doesn't have a mustache, which Donald Sutherland always had in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
That's
So
Kiefer
everybody's
Sutherland's father for the slightly younger than us.
I don't honestly know who any Sutherland is, and I refuse to find out.
Well, he's in that GIF of pointing and his eyes bugging out from The Exorcist. Is that what that's from? I don't even remember.
Oh, he was in Hunger Games. I should have used that reference.
Yeah.
President
Yes, he was
Snow.
in Hunger Games.
Are you talking about a GIF?
Choosy moms
All right.
choose GIF.
Oh, jeez. So Wolverine is deep down in the sewers here. He's real mad, and he's still alive, and he's coming to get you. And that's the teaser for the next issue, which is where we'll pick up next time.
It's a cool.
Yeah.
It's like a little like half shadow thing.
With like the shadow from the great.
I'm getting a Frank Miller vibe 5 years before Frank Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This image does give you a super Frank Miller vibe. Frank Miller vibe for sure. I'm excited to finish off the story. We're doing 133 through 137, we said. So 138 is like a kind of an epilogue, I think a funeral issue, spoiler alert, where
But who died?
Where Scott Summers said he's going to quit the team or something. Look, I don't know. Maybe I'll read it if I feel like I have the time and I care enough about Cyclops. But honestly, I don't think we will. We'll see. Maybe.
Yeah.
But we're definitely going to read up through 137 with an option for 138. So now we're on to All-Star. Sorry, did we want to say anything else about X-Men before we get off this topic?
I know. Well, go ahead, Vince.
I like it a lot. I mean, I've not really read much X-Men from this era, and considering this is like a big major event comic, this one flows really easily. It's got a team that everybody recognizes. I'm surprised by all the intros to characters like Kitty Pryde, Dazzler, Hellfire Club, Emma Frost, Orson Welles. You're getting in on the ground floor. You're not like, I mean, I assumed Hellfire Club had been going for a while, but I wasn't like lost in the way that you can really get lost in X-Men comics and just comics in general. So I'm really pleased with all that, and it was a good team that I liked.
Especially comics from this era, which are like usually a little more dense than this and just don't flow quite as well.
Well, and I know these characters mostly from the X-Men cartoon and the X-Men video game and the movies, and I'm reading a comic that predates them by 20 years, and I'm not confused as to half the cast members are or what their status is, because like if you go read Civil War or any other Marvel event, you're like, okay, so who was here at this time? Oh, Professor X was walking, and such was happening, and actually Magneto was here, and like none of that's here. It's just super clean, and I like it. I'm very pleased with that, and I also like how they have the pages where they just pass off the team. Like I don't even think we mentioned it, but when Dazzler's like, "I'm going back home, bye." I love that they just do the handoffs. Like this person's no longer part of the team. Like they actually like give that time for the breathing to say like this person's leaving the book and this person's coming into the book. I really like that.
Yeah, it's really nice. Chris, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say like how good the art is, and because like that last page where Wolverine comes out of the water, like the top panel is Kitty like being like everybody's raising a glass to her, and so like that's Jean. Yeah, Jean. Sorry, not Kitty. But everybody's raising a glass to Jean, so like that's a cool panel. And then like right below it, Wolverine like crawling out of the sewers, all pissed off. Like it's really good. So yeah, I really enjoy this. I've read this before, and I think you can really tell like this is, X-Men became this like huge, franchise based on the strength of the first 25 to 30 issues of Claremont's run, and of course he went and did a lot more, and it lasted a long time. But like those books weren't a top seller right away. I mean, it was bi-monthly when he did the original Phoenix Saga because nobody cared about the X-Men. And so, but by this point, it's just like, it's a hit, and this is like launching the X-Men to like, this story is so well regarded, and I think it holds up pretty well, where like you can see it's for sort of a, the teen audience or whatever, but it's like it's not for kids, like there's like serious stuff going on. Cyclops is like very clearly having sex with Jean, like things where you're like, wow, it's being written like it's written for like young adults and like 14-year-olds, not like 8-year-olds.
Yeah, it feels very much like it could be like a CW action superhero show or something. Like, it would fit so well into that vibe, I think. The CW would fuck it up. But I feel like, you get that kind of flow that a TV show has. Like, also with the stuff that Vince was saying, with the characters coming in and out, and you see it. It really felt like an episodic TV show for me. Mm-hmm. Where like, hey, now Dazzler's guest starring. Cool.
Yeah, and there is all this like romantic tension like everywhere, where you see when Cyclops and Jean are like smooching in that first issue we read, Wolverine is like, so like they don't forget, like, oh yeah, whenever she went to the hospital during the first Phoenix Saga, and like Wolverine uncharacteristically showed up at the hospital with flowers, and then he's like, oh, the rest of the team is here, well then I am leaving. So he wanted to just like see Jean by himself, and is like, these idiots. Mm-hmm. So the love triangle that gets sort of made a mess of across other media.
Absolutely. Do we want to take bets on how many people Jean is going to smooch in the back half of this story?
Ooh, let me write that down for so we can actually like follow up on this. She's gonna smooch 6 people.
That's a lot. I was gonna say like 1. I think it's gonna be a surprise, not as much of a smoocher, because she's Dark Phoenix now.
I'm gonna say still 2. Scott and someone else, or are we not counting Scott?
She's gonna smooch Scott. She's gonna smooch Jason Wingard again. You're right. I think that Jason Wingard is definitely going to have... Okay, I should have gone high. She's going to smooch Wolverine. She's going to smooch Professor X.
Me? No, that's not going to happen.
And Storm.
All right, now this is getting... Vince, we got to stop.
And Lockjaw.
Lockjaw?
Lockheed.
Okay. Does every pet in the Marvel Universe start with Lock? This is not.
Secrets. The truth is out there.
The truth. Great. All right, we gotta move on to All-Star Superman. Yes. All right, number 2. We're on it. We kind of introduced this last time. Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely. Good stuff. Should we just jump into it? We gotta talk. We already introduced it, right? Let's go.
Superman's gonna die.
No, I thought you were joking around, but you're right. He is going to die. He flew too close to the sun.
Whoa, that's fucking poetic.
And so he, at the end of the last issue, has told Jean Grey.
Wow.
I messed up. Jean Grey is going to smooch Superman also. Has told Lois Lane that he is Clark Kent. So now as we open, they are flying to the Fortress of Solitude together to just kind of talk about it and everything. Superman's
awesome.
got
the art is awesome on this.
It is.
Because she's in his car, in her car. I don't know why she's in her car and he's not just like carrying her. Maybe because it's too cold.
She didn't want to leave her car.
Oh, is that it? It's like, how am I going to get home? How am I going to get home, Clark? This is dumb. I can't Uber. Uber's not going to come out here.
Well, no, like ideally, what's going to happen is that you want the car to, when you're all done with this, to end up at home with Lois, right? Mm-hmm. So you're not going to make an extra trip right now to take the car to Lois's place and then head to the Fortress of Solitude. You just head straight to the Fortress of Solitude and then head straight back to Lois's place. Carrying a car is nothing for Superman, right? So this is no problem at all.
Frank Quitely is nothing if not attention to detail.
Yeah.
He's thought this shit out.
Mm-hmm. So Superman doesn't use a giant golden key anymore. He uses a regular sized key, but it weighs like tons and tons. So the only person who can pick it up is Superman. It's a pretty good security system. He's got a whole bunch of like robot servant super dudes that are his like workers in the area.
I feel like they're gonna revolt still. I feel like
You do?
T minus they are going to revolt in issue, let's say 8.
Maybe like if Brainiac gets in there or something.
He will absolutely have to fight those robots. I don't remember anything about this book, but he will absolutely have to fight those robots.
Okay. All right.
That's my prediction. My prediction. I do like that he's like, hey, I smelled something leaking in the car. Can you guys check it out? And they're like, sure, boss. Like, cool.
Yeah. we also, most of this book is just like, hey, let's see all the cool stuff he's got in his Fortress of Solitude, while just kind of slowly cluing you into exactly what their relationship is. I really like that style.
There's not, the thing is like when I like write my notes, I'm like, there's nothing fucking in this book. There is no plot. It's like 2 scenes. But then I'm like, it was cool to see all those ideas though. It was
right.
Cool. Yeah.
And even though it's not plot, you really are like just getting a sense of what the baseline for their relationship is before you see like all the changes that are happening to it.
This is also one of those classic covers of why is Lois Lane got a kryptonite gun and she's going to shoot down Superman. That's the cover. And you're like,
oh yeah, the little there's a headline on the or whatever you call it. Can you guess the secret of Superman's forbidden room? And he's like working over a table. Like, what could it be? And Lois, while they're walking around, she sees this forbidden room, and Superman's like, "No, you can't go in there." Probably not that serious. That was a bad line reading. But he's just like, don't worry about it. Let's go check out this Sun Eater over here. This guy's pretty cool, right? Look, he eats suns.
SUNs, not SONs.
Oh yeah, SUNs. What else? Any other cool details we missed about this place? He's got his own little big dining room. He's made a nice little Kryptonian cape for himself. It's pretty nice. So throughout this whole thing, Lois has just been kind of like, "Oh boy, I don't know about this. I still don't believe that you and Clark are the same person. That was my thought, but I never found any evidence. What about that time that you were both here? Oh, that was Batman. Okay, what about that time that you were both here? Oh, that was a robot. Okay." And they go to bed for the night, and she's just still thinking about it. Superman's talking to himself, like, "Boy, how do I tell her that I'm dying and I just want to spend my last moments with her?" You know. We also got to mention the status quo. Superman and Lois Lane are dating, right? I feel like they mentioned that a few times.
I think she's dating Clark.
Oh, she's dating Clark.
I don't know. She's dated both of them.
Okay. I feel like they had mentioned, she mentioned Superman's girlfriend, but that could also be after she's learned it. Okay, I don't know. She's dating one of them, but now she's dating both of them. But she starts to get really paranoid about everything. Like, oh my God, you have been lying to me about this. Like, oh shit. And she's not having it. She starts to think that Superman's going crazy. Like, this is all the secret room is some plot to finally kill her or harvest something from her, whatever. She's running around. She talks to this machine that has a future Superman with his face all bandaged up. Like, oh my God, what if that was just him from the future? Oh my God, this guy's got psycho. Ah! And she gets this kryptonite gun and sneaks up to him and she shoots Superman with the kryptonite gun. But nothing happens. What? He's like, okay, I guess I'm immune to kryptonite now. That's pretty cool. And they talk it out. And it's like, no, look, the secret room, look, we're going to have a little birthday present for you. It's a serum. It's a super serum. And you can have my powers for 24 hours. And look, it's a superhero suit. Isn't that nice? Very nice.
That was the secret of Superman's hidden room.
Yes, it was a birthday present.
Birthday present. Oh, I will say, it was such a fun issue, and it's it has the nice twist built in at the end. Plus, now you're excited, oh my God, Super Lois, what's this going to be? Yeah, I really enjoyed it. My only complaint is that Lois needed more clothes for sure. Frank quietly really liked just kind of drawing her body in a nightie, like running around.
Or in a shower.
Or in the shower. Yeah, it was a little too cheesecakey. Calm down, Frank. I mean, calm down. Yeah, calm down, Frank.
I mean, my only complaint is that like it is a very thin issue. There is not much.
Yeah.
When you say like what happened, well, Lois went to Superman's house and she wanted to look in the room, and then she looked in the room.
Yeah, she got kind of paranoid. Superman's like, yeah, you were exposed to this thing that makes you paranoid.
It's a relationship issue. It's not a plot issue. Relax, guys. We learned a lot here. We learned a lot.
You really do. You really do when you reflect on it. It's pleasant, though. I really like it. I like that it has the crazy cover, and then how are we going to get to this point? I like that, and then it subverts it. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's just so classic. I think it's great.
I do think it reads a lot better, like in trades. Like I went ahead and read the next issue after this, which we're not talking about this time. But if I was like a month-to-month reader, I'd be like, this
wasn't even month to month. It was month to 3 months.
Yeah, it was slow.
Yeah.
Boy, and we gave X-Men flack for being bi-monthly back then. We're lucky if we get bi-monthly comics sometimes.
Yeah. So I mean, if I just read this issue, I'd be like, wait, what happened? I don't really remember. And then like not a lot really moves the needle. Like I wish if I was working at DC, I'd be like, can we just combine issues 2 and 3 into like a double-sized issue?
I disagree. I think it stands just fine on its own.
Because
in trade it does, absolutely.
Yeah, in trade it's great, but standing alone, I'm just kind of like, and the part of it's doing the Silver Age like homage, but with like modern pacing. So like Silver Age, Superman would spend like 5 pages being like, here's my Fortress of Solitude and all this stuff. Now let's have an adventure right now.
Sure, but he also would have like listed off the things he has instead of really giving them all time to breathe. Yeah. And I think giving Lois's very slow descent into paranoia enough time. I think more happens in this issue than you guys are giving credit for.
I will also say, Chris, that I agree with like I think you mentioned this last episode, the fact that he alludes to all these different like future and alternate universe versions of Superman that he wants to like give a time capsule to. It's got super shades of Supreme in it.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Supreme. The point where I'm like, I should go back and read Supreme again.
Yeah, it had been like 5 years or so before All-Star Superman was, so maybe even a little longer than that, but it was pretty close. And there's the his Lois Lane, he takes her to the Fortress of Solitude issue, and so I was like, this is very similar.
Yeah, I do remember. Okay. Well, I think that's all we've got to say about this one for now. Anything else we got to mention?
No, I like it. I'm on board.
Yeah.
I'll read the next one.
I like it. I think I'm going to keep going. Maybe that's what the show should be. Maybe we should be able to vote like 2 out of 3 votes that we're going to stop. We just stop. Yeah, I feel like that's how it is in the real world with comics sometimes. You're just like, nah, I'm not getting the next one. That's it. We're done.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hope you will get our next one, and you won't just stop with this. No, I'm sorry I put that idea in your head, listener. Don't unsubscribe. Thank you for sticking around. I hope you will come back for the next one when we finish the Dark Phoenix Saga. Again, that's Uncanny X-Men 133 to 137 with an option for 138 that nobody's going to read because it's about Cyclops.
We're not going to tell you.
Cyclops sucks.
And we're not going to tell you. There's going to be no communication on whether or not we pick up that option.
Yeah. Okay. Have a great evening, or morning, or afternoon. Thank you, Vince.
You're welcome. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. I've been Kia. Have a great. I said that already. Love you. Bye.